and welcome back to Mads World. I'm your host Mads, and I hope you have been enjoying the show so far. Mads World has got more listeners than ever before, so please remember to reach out to me and let me know what you're enjoying about the show. And of course, remember to subscribe, rate and review the podcast on your favourite listening platform. And also follow the podcast on Instagram. It's at madsworld.mp3. This week, I am lucky enough to be joined by Alita Brydon, creator, owner, and curator of the iconic Facebook and Instagram communities Bad Dates of Melbourne and Bad Dates of Australia. These pages across Facebook and Instagram use humour and storytelling to empower people and are working to change dating culture in Australia. Overall, the Bad Dates channels have over 230,000 followers, and Ali receives thousands of messages from people all across Australia who have found inspiration from the stories. She also works with Tinder as the Tinder Australia dating commentator, and up next you'll hear our chat about enjoying singledom, dating trends, body positivity, and just going with the flow while enjoying the ride. Hi Ali, how you doing?
Yeah, very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm really good, thank you. I'm so buzzing to have you on the podcast because I have followed your Facebook page, Bad Dates of Melbourne, for so long now. How long has the page been running for?
I think we hit our 4-year anniversary I think in November. So, I mean, a lot has happened in that 4 years. And the page, I mean, every day we publish like the craziest stories and most romantic stories and most disgusting stories. So, I mean, I love it.
Yeah. Oh, well, let's get stuck into our speed date question round so everyone can learn a little bit more about you and Bad Dates of Melbourne and what you're up to. So, do you want to tell me a bit more about how Bad Dates of Melbourne began?
Sure. So for years, I was telling all of my friends my bad date stories, my horrors, my wins, everything that was going on in my life. And they were like, Ali, you've got to write a book. You know, it's so interesting. It's so funny. And then I thought one day, you know what? This is perfect for social media, these like funny little stories. So I started posting my stories. And then I think like a month in, people started writing in. And I thought, oh, this is like a collective experience, this bad dates thing. And, you know, it became all of Melbourne and all of Australia sometimes submitting their bad date stories. So yeah, it all came from Tinder. Dating.
Really?
Yeah.
And so it's grown to, last time I checked, it's about 230,000 people are now following the page or something?
Well, there's Bad Dates of Melbourne and Bad Dates of Australia. There's Instagram, there's Facebook. So yeah, there's about 230 all up.
Wow.
And, you know, it's a real community vibe despite the fact that there's 230,000 people.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like I know all of the regulars there. They know me and they know each other and the conversation's good and respectful and funny and you can make comments without kind of getting an internet pile-on. Like it's a good vibe there. I like to think anyway.
100%. And I think dating is one of those universal things that everyone can sort of get around. Like whether you're in a long-term relationship or whether you're having a break, it's still, everyone loves a good date story. And that's kind of why this podcast does well as well. I think everyone loves to hear it.
Oh, I couldn't agree more.
So apart from Bad Dates of Melbourne, I know you mentioned you've got a couple of other projects going on, but what else is keeping you busy at the moment?
I work in digital, so that keeps me very busy, but I'm also working with Tinder Australia at the moment as their dating commentator, which essentially means that, you know, if the media want to know some, you know, dating advice, they'll tap me on the shoulder and I'll provide, you know, what's happening in dating and dating trends and, you know, what's happening with ghosting or first date advice or all of that kind of thing. So it's really exciting. And, you know, I do this work for them with them, here and there. And I kind of go, I can't believe I get paid to do this.
Yeah, that is like my dream job.
Yeah, it's really cool. And like, even running Bad Dates of Melbourne itself, every so often I kind of tap myself on the shoulder. I'm like, I can't believe that people are so generous to write in and contribute and all of that. I mean, it's really special to me. So I love it. You can probably tell I love it, but yeah, I do love it.
Yeah. Oh, it's so nice. And it's so good to see there's just so much engagement on the page. And even when you're posting things, we can get into this a little bit later, but even when you're posting things that aren't relevant to dating, I think people are just so engaged because you're behind it and you're the person sort of running the page. So it's really, really nice to see.
It's nice. And like, I feel Bad Dates of Melbourne, like I was saying before, it is a community and we all know each other and it's very supportive.
Yeah. My next question is, what social stigma do you think society really needs to get over?
You know, I would love if people were a little bit more open-minded when it comes to dating others with mental illness. There's a real stigma there still, unfortunately, and I see it pop up from time to time on the internet, and it just shouldn't be like that because, I mean, mental illness, I mean, a lot of people have it. It's kind of so normal, and I don't know. I would just love that stigma to be gone and for everyone to be a little bit more relaxed and open-minded and cool with it, because it is it's fine, it's normal, it's cool, and I don't know, that's something that I would love, and you know, that's something we talk about sometimes at Bad Dates of Melbourne as well.
Do you know what? I heard this really good quote about just mental illness and how we address it as society in general. And it's sort of like, if you had a broken leg, you wouldn't just tell someone to get over it, and you wouldn't just, you know, you'd go to the doctors, you'd get a cast on it, and you'd sort it out. Whereas if it's something like mental health and you have depression or anxiety or whatever it might be, and someone says, oh, you know, can't you just get over it? Can't you just feel better? Like, you should just go to the doctor and treat it in the same way that you treat physical health, but it's treated so differently, which is really strange. But yeah, I think that's really beautiful the way that you put it, that it's so normal to have something going on. I mean, especially in this day and age with COVID, everyone's got their own stuff happening, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, COVID was so hard on everybody, especially here in Melbourne with all of the lockdowns and everything. It was so tough.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that Gen Z and millennials are a lot more open-minded about mental illness than, you know, the generations above. So there is change happening, but I'd like it to happen a little faster.
Yeah, for sure. What is something that you really resent paying for?
Oh, my check engine light. I feel like it turns on like every second month. It turns on all of the time. And every time I can take my car to get fixed, I swear it turns on like 2 weeks later. I can't deal with it. It got to the point like during lockdown here in Melbourne, it turned on. I'm like, I'm not driving anywhere. I'm not even going to look at it. So I don't know. It's off at the moment, but now that I've told you about it on this podcast, I'm going to go out there tomorrow morning. It's going to turn back on. It doesn't like me.
Oh my God. It's so weird you say that, because this happened to me when I was home in Melbourne. My car just like chills for a year until I come home and drive it. And I figured out, I took it to the mechanic, and then in the end he's like, do you know what? It's the light that's broken. The light just comes on. There's nothing. Yeah. He's like, there's nothing wrong with your engine. It's the light. And I was like, what is going on?
That absolutely messes with your mind. Well, maybe it's my light as well. I'd love for it to be my light. I don't think it is my light. I think it's my car.
Oh God. Would you go out with the male version of yourself?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. Like I read this because you sent me the questions. I read this question. I thought, oh wow. I thought I so would go out with a male version of myself in a flash.
Really?
Oh yeah. Like I feel a lot of people say when they find a partner, you know, I want someone to challenge me, and I hear that and I go, I can't be bothered with that. I just want someone to watch my Netflix with. We agree on the same shows. We agree on the same takeaway from Uber Eats, and you know, I'd love to go out with the man alley, what would you call it? Manali. Yeah, I would love that. I think smooth sailing. I know people say, you know, opposites attract, but I actually don't know whether that's true. I think the more you have in common and the more similar you are, the better match it is. So yeah, bring on Manali.
Yeah, I don't know if I would go out with myself. I think I'm a little bit too, I don't know, I'm a bit too crazy, like, and jealous sometimes. And I know what I'm like. I know in the beginning I try and be all cool and like playing it cool and, you know, trying to be like this edgy cool girl that like guys like, but then as it gets down the line I just become like a crazy girlfriend. So I just don't know if I would want to be a part of that if I was a boy.
You know, I reckon you would make you feel very secure, and dating you would be your best self. So
true. I mean, guess we'll never know, but I would love to. And my last question for this round is, what is the best date you've ever been on?
Oh, that is such a hard question. You know what I think? It might be a bit of a funny answer. I've had a few dates that have kind of turned into friendships. So they weren't necessarily romantic dates, but, you know, I've made long-term friends. Like I've got one friend who I actually met through a Tinder date. I reckon we had a date maybe like 7 years ago or something.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we're still friends, and like nothing ever
That's
happened.
nice.
But I mean, it probably wasn't like a traditional romantic date. There's no like fireworks and no like amazing first kiss or anything like that. But I
Yeah.
mean, the thing with dating, like, a date doesn't have to be romantic to be successful. It just has to be fun. So, I think that worked out really well for me.
That's so true. And I think if everyone approached dating like that, as though you're just in an experience to meet a new person, make a new friend, or just have a new connection and learn something from someone else, it would be a better experience for everyone.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. Like, I was talking to a few people recently about the fact that even though I was single, I still felt I was a really successful dater. And they were like, why is that? I'm like, well, I have fun on my dates. I make friends. I go to new restaurants. Like, they're low pressure. They're fun. So, I mean, I might not be walking down the aisle or anything, but, that's not necessarily a sign of success either. Like, I think having fun is just a good goal in of itself.
Absolutely. And I guess like having a successful dating life is kind of, you can measure it in any way that you want. And if you're enjoying yourself and enjoying your time, then you're living your best life.
Yep. I love the way you think. Yes, totally.
So I thought for all of our listeners out there, it might be great if you could read to us, because we have a funny date section in this podcast where usually you and I would share a funny date. But I figured since you have so many great submissions all the time, you could give us a couple of one-liners that you've received through Bad Dates of Melbourne.
I have got a few here. They're a little bit longer than one line, which I hope you don't mind. I'll read them out to you. So they'll be like they're not they're not my stories, obviously, but I'm hoping they're not too risque for the podcast. But you can
it's okay. We cross all kinds of lines on this podcast. I think like the latest episode was a bit random. So go crazy.
Okay, well we'll go with this first one here. So it reads, I'm single and obviously always notice when a cute guy is around. I went to get laser hair removal at one of those big chain clinics. I had prepaid. As I was leaving, I noticed a really hot guy waiting in the foyer. I smile at him and catch his eye. Then the clinician called me back over and in a loud voice says to me, I just realized you had paid for the full Brazilian and I didn't do your anus. Sorry about that. I didn't realize that you had paid for anus too. I'll put a note on the system to say we didn't do your anus so you can get your anus done next time free of charge. Safe to say I didn't get his number.
Oh my God.
So not quite a traditional date, but I mean, embarrassing, right? Like no one wants to talk about the anus in front of a cute. I don't want to talk about my anus.
I mean, not when you're trying to pick up a cute guy. You just don't want someone mentioning your anus 4 times in a row in front of him, you know?
No, absolutely not. That definitely was not handled well, but
oh my God,
it's still very funny.
Very good.
So this one's a classic. So
okay,
we met, exchanged messages, and set up a first date at a gastropub. Within the first 10 minutes, it became apparent that this was a rebound thing. She spent about half the time explaining how intelligent, no, I mean really intelligent, her ex was, and that he was a great guy, but it just hadn't worked out. It was strange, but I rolled with it and spilled on my ex situation too. Drinks became dinner and conversation moved on to dating theory and the importance of compatibility. This led to even more ex discussion. Eventually, we were ready to call the night. I offered her a lift home. Halfway to her place, she spontaneously told me that one of her talents was fitting her entire fist in her mouth, and then she proved it. We're married now.
What?
They got married. Yeah, it's very cute.
What a twist.
I know. Super, super cute, that one. I thought that was really adorable.
That's really cute. And do you know what? Sometimes the weirdest dates that you go on, when you like really find yourself opening up and like breaking all those like, you know, traditional first date rules, like don't talk about your ex or don't talk about politics, don't talk about sex. Like sometimes when you do cross over those lines, it becomes a really good experience.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. And I think that story goes to show that, like, even if you're someone who's a little bit awkward or quirky or shy, like, there's someone, like, not everyone finds the one, but like there's lots of fun people to date, lots of fun to have. So there's someone out there for you that, you could potentially be compatible with. So I thought that was really nice, a nice little one. So
Such a nice one.
I've got one more for you, and it's more of I say a general observation from a single person as opposed to a date, but I'll read it to you anyway.
Okay.
I have an embarrassing admission. I've been single for quite a while now. Most of that time I've been living on my own, and I've just realised no one has heard me fart in 9 years. I don't audibly fart at work or in public, and because I have no partner, my farts go unheard. I know it's not a bad date. I just wanted to tell someone because it doesn't feel right. Perils of single life, right?
Oh my God. People really open up to you on this page. It's so iconic.
They really do. And they're very generous. And every time I go to the inbox, I'm just like, wow. But I think part of me thinks like, wow, these stories are so out there. But as someone who's actually like dated and is dating, they're actually very realistic. Like we all have these like wild and crazy stories. So it's very normal.
How many submissions do you get like on like daily?
Oh, it really depends on the day. Like on a quiet day, 15. The busiest day the page has ever had. It was. I did a call out on my birthday a couple of years ago, and I think I got 120 in one day.
Oh my God!
But, people don't just send in stories; they send in like chicken nugget memes and jokes and things that they've seen. And I get sometimes I get like updates from the people who've written the stories. Like I've just got married, and here's my wedding picture. I just had a baby. I just had a Tinder surprise. I just had all of these lovely little updates. I got some nice wedding photos yesterday, and so I don't publish those, and I don't have permission, and they're just for my eyes only. But it's really nice. Like it's nice that people think of you when they see a chicken nugget meme, or that they want to share their wedding pictures. It's really beautiful and really touching. So it's nice.
So cool. It really is like such a wholesome community. It's unreal. It's not like anything I've ever seen in like this dating realm, because it's very, I mean, a lot of dating, blogs and that sort of thing, they can foster quite negative attention sometimes as well, and people, not being cruel to those submissions and that sort of thing. But I feel like your audience is just, they have this really nurturing and loving sort of vibe to them.
I feel the same way. And I mean, all credit to them. They're really nice, supportive people. Like I was saying to someone the other day, I feel like I have a cheer squad in my pocket, like living in my phone, all of these like incredible people, like for our Dates of Melbourne, incredible people living in my phone. But yeah, the vibes there are really good. And I think also because it's local, like most, not all, but most of the stories, unless otherwise marked, are in Melbourne. So, we're talking about people in our local community. And I think when you realise, you could be talking about your neighbour or the person down the shops or the person you work with, it has that sense of, neighbourhood community, and it kind of makes a little bit, it's anonymous, but it feels a bit less anonymous when you know that it's happening locally. So you're probably a little bit kinder than you might be in other places on the internet.
So true, because it's right next door. So you did a great post about being single on Bad Dates of Melbourne recently, which I really loved and I really connected to it. So it was in response to someone asking why you're single. And I just wondered if you could tell me why you're single here, and hopefully share with our listeners a bit of positivity around it.
Yes. I love that post too. I feel really happy and positive about being single, because for me, being single is about having opportunities, having hope, having freedom to decide where you live, how to live your life, what you're going to have for dinner, where you're going to go traveling, so much stuff. You can go dating, flirting. There's just so much to do. So I feel like this idea, like traditionally, that like, single people are, left on the shelf. Single people are alone, going to die alone. I mean, it's just so dated. It's not really like that anymore. We have so much independence, and, it's a really exciting time to be single and live your life. So I mean,
Yeah.
I really enjoy it, and I like to talk about that as well because there should be more single love out there. I think because there's so much focus on shacking up and partnerships, and when the movie ends, it's when they get married and they live happily ever after together, and that's that. But I mean, we have so many ways to live our lives. Some people, they get married, they get divorced, they have more than one relationship. They might be single forever. They might have more than one partner. Like there's more than one way to live your romantic life. And I kind of want to take away that feeling of like failure if you're doing anything different, because it's not a failure. It's you expressing yourself and being your most authentic self. And I think that's wonderful.
Oh, I just love that so much because I think at the moment I'm single. I've been single for about a year, and I've finally gotten into my groove. Like I'm loving it. Like I can literally do whatever I want. Like I've got no kids, I've got no husband, I've got no boyfriend. Like if I want to get Deliveroo, I will. If I want to go to a gig, I'll go to it alone. Like if I want to go to an art gallery, I can go. And also I find that you nurture your friendships a lot better because I'm someone who does get sucked into relationships and like that becomes my whole world. And it's something I do try and work on. But yeah, I feel like at the moment, I've got a friend going through a breakup, friends around you are going through things, and you can be there for them and you can sort of nurture those friendships, and you get so much out of it when you're single. And I mean, you can do that in a relationship as well. But at the moment, I'm finding I'm just thriving and I'm just loving it.
I love everything that you have just said. The two parts that I really loved is one, that you go out and do things by yourself because, I mean, you can go out and get a coffee by yourself. You can go to a market by yourself. I've gone traveling by myself. Like I think for a lot of times, well, for a long period of my life, I would be like, oh, well, I'm going to wait for a partner to do this. I'm going to wait for a friend to do that. And now I'm like, nah, pick up, do it myself, press go. Second part of what you said that I absolutely loved is that single people are actually really connected to the community around them. I think it is more so than people in relationships. So this whole concept of single people being alone and everything, and I know that some people do feel that way, so I don't want to take away from their feelings, but single people can be very connected to the community around them, and we make effort to see friends and we make effort to connect with our families, and we actually live really fulfilling and fun lives.
Yeah, it's so nice. And I think there's something to be said as well for when you do things alone, it doesn't necessarily mean you're alone. Like if you go traveling alone, you will just meet so many people, and you will you'll be more willing to open yourself up and just throw yourself in the deep end and, chat to random people or whatever. Even at the coffee shop, if you go, you just chat to the person next to you. Like you're never actually alone.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. And you make so many friends because you're putting yourself out there and doing stuff. And I feel for me, like when I've been in long-term relationships, you kind of spend a lot of time on the couch watching TV with your partner and you stay at home. And look, and that's nice. Like that is nice. But, getting out there and connecting and seeing the city and doing things, I mean, that's fun. That's really fun.
So much fun. What do you think are the best trends that have come out of modern dating?
Ooh, for me, I think it's a real simple one. I think it's the freedom to meet people in your own time.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like dating 15 years ago, you would go out on a Friday or Saturday night, you would meet someone on the dance floor. It would be between 11 p.m. and 1 a.m. And that was like your little window for meeting people for the week. And if you didn't meet anyone in that tiny little window, you weren't meeting anyone for the rest of the week. Whereas now, on your lunch break on a Tuesday, you can pick up your phone, have a look at Tinder, see who's out and available. If it's a Thursday night, you want to go out the next night, you can jump on an app, Tinder, whatever else, and, find someone to go on a date with. So it's so much more like freedom and flexibility. And for me, it's kind of like taking control of your own romantic life in a way.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I'm 37 now, but when I was dating in my early 20s, it's like there were less options for you. Whereas now, you can meet more people that are more compatible with what you're looking for. So, I love that.
Yeah, that's so cool. I never would have thought to say that. I think probably because I'm in my late 20s now, and I think it's Tinder and like dating apps and the internet is something that we've always had. And you don't sort of think like, yeah, you don't sort of think that like how lucky we are that, you know, you can pick up your phone and just chat to whoever and, yeah, like you said, take control of your own dating life. I think that's so cool.
Oh, it's totally empowering, and I mean,
Mm.
I love it. I just love having like the freedom to just meet people, on my own terms in my own time, and I really like that.
Yeah. And what do you think are the worst trends to come out of modern dating?
Look, for me, look, I love Tinder, and
Hmm.
there have been times in my life where I've hit it real hard, and
Mm.
gone on lots of dates, and it's fun. But sometimes I'm like, well, got to stay balanced with the rest of my life. Got to catch up
Hmm.
to everything else.
Yeah.
But you can definitely do that. But you've got to be mindful of that at the same time, because you know there's a lot of fun to be had and a lot of people to go out with, but there's other things in life as well, so you've got to do that too.
Yeah. So you think finding balance is a challenge?
I think so. I think so, but I think that's not necessarily just dating apps. I think that that's all love and romance. We have
Mm.
like such a massive focus on pairing up and finding a partner and finding a boyfriend or
Yeah.
getting engaged or finding a husband and kind of going along that track, that it's really easy to forget to take care of yourself or your career or your hobbies. I mean, like, when was the last time you've got an amazing podcast, but like, when was the last time you sat down and like focused on your hobbies and yourself as opposed to like, dating? And,
Yeah.
I absolutely love dating, obviously. And I
Hmm.
love meeting people and connecting with people, but I like doing that as part of my life, where I'm doing lots of other things as well. So yeah, it's all balanced.
Yeah, and this is something I sort of come back to on this podcast a lot, and it's how I like to look at my life as though it's one big pie. And so, like, you have all your different pieces of the pie. So you got your friendship slice, family, friends, dating life, hobbies, work, and you have to try and find a balance to make them all equal. And I think I'm someone, as I said earlier, when I get in a relationship, that can take up too much of the pie. And like if I haven't seen my family in too long, or I haven't been home to visit Australia in too long, then I need to like reach out to them and like remember to stay in touch with them, or like plan a trip home. You need to, it's like a juggling act.
Oh, and it is really hard, especially when the relationship is new and things are feeling good. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, like I've been there, like I've thrown myself totally in, but I feel like the older I've got, the more balanced I've gotten, the more like kind of chill I've got about the whole thing, which has been really nice. So, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I like your
absolutely.
attitude. I'm feeling that. Yes.
And as someone who works alongside Tinder, I feel like you have a lot of great insight on dating apps. So, what are your red flags to look out for on dating apps when you're connecting with someone new?
I always look for how enthusiastic they are. Like, I want them to be enthusiastic when we're talking. And by that, I mean, like, I'll look at the conversation and be like, all right, I'm asking you all of these questions. Are you asking me questions back? Are you engaging with me? Who's leading this conversation? Is it two-way? Is it equal? Are you invested in this? The great thing about Tinder, for example, like you can actually just scroll through your conversation and have a quick recce and be like, all right, like,
Yeah.
I've asked this person about, how's your day? Did they ask me back?
Hmm.
Like, are they engaged in this? So that's probably a really big one. And probably the second big one is just keep your eye out for any little negative comments or put downs, because, little put downs here and there, they're a sign of a bigger problem. So keep your eye out for them and be confident in acting on them, because, you should
Yeah.
always trust your gut with dating. Your gut is always going to be just leading you in the right direction. So
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Yeah,
yeah,
I think
yeah.
trusting your gut is the best thing that you can do, because, like, you know you the best. And, like, based on the past experiences you have with dating and the people you've gone out with and what you've learned, you can sort of trust your brain and your gut to lead you in the right direction based on your experiences.
Oh, absolutely. All of the time when Bad Dates of Melbourne, people will write in, they'll say, this scenario happened. I felt a bit funny about it. What do you think? And my answer will always be the same, like, trust your gut. I 100% back whatever you're feeling. I back it because
Yeah.
you were there. You should trust it. You should be confident in it. I feel sometimes we minimize our feelings or our experience with dating, which we shouldn't do. Your feelings are 100% valid, especially if they are regarding red flags. I will always back you if you are, wondering about a red flag or whether you should trust your gut.
What have your experiences been like dating in the pandemic? So obviously in Melbourne they had loads of lockdowns, and in London we had the same. It was kind of like we were swapping between being in lockdown and out of lockdown. And I was talking to my family, and like whenever I was out at festivals or whatever, they were, locked inside, and it's all been a bit of a mess. But what have your experiences with dating been like during this time?
I feel like I used Tinder mostly to kind of connect with people while I was indoors, because we were indoors for a huge amount of 2020 and 2021. So using Tinder was it gave me a feeling of normalcy, if that makes sense. Like just being able to talk to people, chat with people, flirt with people, not so much meet with people. Like I remember going on one date between lockdowns, which was such a treat. The restaurants were open and everything. It was very exciting. But I mean, a lot of it was just talking to people and connecting with people online. And it was really nice because, I mean, it was a hard time for everybody. And it was a time where we all had this shared experience. It wasn't a very nice experience, but it was a shared experience. So, it was quite different. And I think what was maybe not surprising, or maybe it was surprising, that people, instead of not dating, they would date on the phone, or they would video date, or, when they were allowed to, they would, go for a walk. So, I mean, there's that saying like, love always finds a way. And, not that everyone on, Tinder or whatever is always looking for love. They're just looking for it could be connection of many types. But, people really did find a way to connect despite the fact that we were all indoors. And I thought that was beautiful. I mean, like even me, like I hate talking on the phone, and I got on the phone. So that's something.
Yeah. And I think as well, it kind of connects with something you said earlier about, making friends through dating as well. Because I think I was speaking to a few people through dating apps, and then, I don't know if in Melbourne you had that app House Party, but you can like jump on and like whoever was in the app, you could just start a conversation. And I started dating this guy, like we met on House Party through a friend of a friend of a friend. And we just ended up having like a cool friendship, and like we'd hang out. But it was kind of this weird blurred line between like friends and dating. And I really just like it ended and stuff. But I still have this really like fondness for this guy because we sort of connected over the pandemic, and like, it was just weird, but he's just such a nice person. And I feel like, I was more open to getting to know people as a friend because obviously we couldn't meet up. So it was a really cool, weird time.
And I love that. I mean, it's like what we were saying earlier with dating. Like, I mean, I feel like rewind 15 years, people are like, you go on a date, then you date for, 2 years, and then you get engaged, and then you get married, and then you have kids, and then you buy a house or whatever, or, that's the journey you go on. And now it's like, you might go on a date, you might find a friend, you might go on a date, you might go to a cool restaurant, you might go on a date and you might go, oh, that was bad, I'm submitting that to Bad Dates of Melbourne. Like there's like, there's more than one way to do it. And I think that's really exciting.
It's cool. And it's sort of like also like you mentioned before, it gives you that nice feeling of hopefulness and not knowing what's going to happen. It's so exciting because I think I don't know. For me, part of the reason why I moved to London was I wasn't ready to do the whole settling down, moving to the suburbs, having a kid. And I wanted that hopefulness, and I wanted that excitement, and I wanted to get out there and experience things. And I think, it's just so nice that modern dating has allowed us to do that.
Oh, I love it as well. So it was my 37th birthday earlier this week. Thank you very much. And I was thinking about it, and I thought if you had asked me in my early 20s where I would be at 37, I would think, I would have done my dating thing. I would have settled down and been married with a kid, and it has not worked out like that at all. And I could not be happier. It's worked out really nicely. And I think a lot of that has to do with, Tinder and dating and, all of that kind of thing. I like being single. It's very, very hopeful. I'm glad you're enjoying it too.
Yeah, so nice. I've got one more question for you. So this kind of goes out of the realm of dating, but you publish lots of fantastic body positivity content and people really engage with it, and I've been really loving it. So what would be like your top tips to working on your confidence and self-acceptance?
One of my biggest ones was I started following people that looked like me on social media. And for me, that is like, tall and chubby blonde women.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like there's something about seeing people that look like yourself in the media that is really empowering. And for me, I never really had that before social media became a thing because, when you turn on the TV, like people don't look like me, I'm a bit fat and a bit tall and they don't really look like me. So I really liked, following people that look like me on social media or look like you or, however you look. I also like thinking about the reason why people make comments because, we all get those little comments here and there about our bodies that we don't like. I like reflecting on, what is driving them to make those comments, what they are trying to do to you when they make those comments. And it kind of has always given me a little bit of perspective thinking about, what their agenda is and what it's meant to do to me. And I found that very empowering.
I feel like that's such an empathetic way to look at it, especially when obviously those comments can be quite hurtful or, you can take them really personally. But if you take an empathetic stance on it, and that's so powerful of you to be able to do that.
Oh, well, I kind of look at them and I think, well, I feel like you're trying to push me down to pull yourself up. And I thought, oh, well, I don't need any of that. So, I think when you're kind of able to think about it like that, it makes it a little bit easier.
Good on you. Yeah, that's so cool.
My third one is to read about diet culture and dieting and, how it impacts us as a society. I've followed some really interesting Instagram accounts that talk about diet culture. And the more I learn about diet culture and the impact that it's had on me, the more powerful I feel because I kind of, I'm just done with it, into the bin with diet culture. Thinking about things like, words like guilt-free, like I'm not into that. So I kind of like thinking about it as a culture. And I think when you kind of realize the impact that diet culture has on me as an individual or you as an individual, it becomes a little bit easier and you kind of go, oh, well, I'm not to blame for this. This is actually something that's bigger than me and it's very invasive and, quite big. So I think the more you learn about diet culture and, the impact of dieting, because I don't like diets, the more powerful you feel. So I've got a lot of power from that and, learning about that.
Oh, wow. God, I absolutely love listening to you speak. You have such a soothing voice. It's been so nice having you on the podcast. But yeah, thank you so much for joining. I think it's just been such a beautiful chat. And yeah, I feel like you obviously have this community for a reason because you've got so much to offer in terms of positivity with Singledom and with body positivity. And yeah, just thank you so much for coming on and chatting with me.
Oh no, thank you for thinking of me and having me. It's been really, really nice, really nice.
I hope you enjoyed my chat with the absolutely beautiful Brydon. Please let me know on my Instagram. It's @madsworld.mp3 or on my website madsworld.co if you have any stories or thoughts of your own to share about the podcast. Love and elbow taps. Peace.